I have never told this story. Despite all I've said, I never truly told the story that caused a change in me. I mean, the actual change that actually started my sophisticated vocabulary, what became the start of my new moral beliefs. It was really a traumatic experience that caused me to change as much as I did that one time when I came back from the city. And I can't tell it, and I'll tell it in in-depth detail, but not too in-depth. Because the story will be too long if I tell it too in-depth. And it is, quite frankly. It's embarrassing if I tell it too in-depth. But it's the reason why I am the way I am, and why this change has come over me, and why I don't like to chill with people anymore, and why I like to stay in isolation. And pretty much my new moral belief on life in general. I used to go back and forth all the time between the mountains and the city. I can't give exact locations or details because I just feel uncomfortable doing it. Some of the stories get me really uncomfortable for me, but I feel that it's a good story and it's true and it should be known. Well, anyway, I was out in New York City, like I said. That's another story of how I ended up stranded out there in the first place. And started traveling back and forth. But anyway, yeah, I was out in the city, and I started tripping, and I wandered into Harlem, and I started wandering everywhere, pretty much tripping, and a lot of black people started messing with me, to be honest. For real, a lot of black people started messing with me everywhere. They started messing with me everywhere all the time, and I just had to keep, fending them off. They just kept, picking on me and messing with me everywhere. And I did. I felt they had something personally against me. I feel it was because of my skin color. Because they were messing with me a lot. Everywhere. And it was pretty much going on for, 3 weeks. And this story is really hard for me to tell what they did. It was for 3 weeks straight until it led up to this point, just dealing with them messing with me everywhere because they didn't like me, and I got into a lot of fights over it. I actually got into 15 different altercations because of it, and I was on the better end of all of them. To be honest, yeah, I'm 15 less street fighting in the city because of this. But anyway, yeah, they were messing with me everywhere, and they decided to go there. They hired a prostitute to pretty much come set me up and humiliate me. For real. And they hired a prostitute to literally set me up and humiliate me. Because they just really didn't like me, and they're scared of me. My gimmick was I'm a crazy hick from the mountains that randomly comes to the city. Yeah, they're scared of me, and they wanted to do this pretty much to really get to me. They had her laugh at me, and they had her humiliate me for reasons I don't feel comfortable discussing. And then everybody, everywhere, man. It's just everybody, everywhere were messing with me everywhere. And I ended up getting into a brawl with the leader of a major biker gang. For real, I ended up getting into an altercation and meeting up. I didn't realize it, but he was the leader of a major biker gang. And he sympathized with what was going on with me. Like I said, I'm not going to give exact details or anything exactly like that, because I don't know. I just don't feel comfortable doing it completely in-depth detail what happened exactly. But anyway, yes. I got into an altercation, and I got the better end of the leader of the biker gang, and I told him what was going on with me, and he was actually a veteran, a Green Beret, spent 31 years in the military, and yes, he was the leader of he was one of the main men of a major biker gang. He was a Green Beret, and he was in the military, he was like a real-life Rambo. He was a Green Beret, and he fought in Vietnam. And he was 68 years old, dude. And I actually got into an altercation with him. I actually got in like 18 different altercations out there that I got in the better end of. I was actually a really good street fighter at one point before my health issues and before my breathing got bad, which is now. Like I said, I was an animal just 2 years ago. I was really strong and really fast. But yes, my health has gotten really bad and I'm starting to have breathing problems. Back to the point of the story. I got into an altercation with one of the main people in the Hells Angels, and he brought an army of bikers. And there was a huge rumble. And they pretty much, the bikers, well, let me get a little bit less into the story. The real reason, it wasn't just the hooker, but I'm going to get back to that part of the story. After the hooker did what she did to me and humiliated me, and everybody was starting to mess with me everywhere, one night, man, in Harlem, when I was walking around tripping like usual, like I said, I could have brought it on myself. I just went out there. I went out there to pretty much get away from everyone because I was having personal problems at home. My grandfather just died, yada, 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 and I just wanted to be alone and underneath the radar. And like I said, they were messing with me everywhere, and they hired that prostitute to do what she did, and then they started messing with me everywhere. It was like crazy. Like pretty girls were like pointing at me, like picking on me everywhere. Like everybody was like pointing at me, picking on me everywhere. And then one night, it was like something out of a horror movie. Black people, I don't mean to be racist. This is what happened. They started fucking everything all around me. For real, like they're having like crack fests, and they're like smoking crack with. This is the reason for my personal sexual morality now. Why I don't really like gay people, why I don't want to have sex with anyone unless I love that person. This is what really made this happen to me, what happened this night. They started fucking everything, everywhere. All up and down the streets. They just started fucking everything. There was like gay people they were fucking in the ass. There was women all up and down the street. Like all these pretty girls like swarming them everywhere. This wasn't a nightmare, man. This wasn't a dream. This was happening all around me in Harlem. I was like walking the streets somewhere in Harlem, and they were like fucking everything. There were fucking women everywhere. There were fucking gay people everywhere. And I just thought it was so fucking disgusting. They were like smoking crack, and there was like hundreds of them just fucking everything everywhere. And like I said, they were messing with me for like weeks and weeks. And after that night, I just thought, humans are so fucking disgusting. I don't want to ever have sex with anyone again unless that's my wife. And that's what really came over to me to be like that, and why I developed my personal beliefs and my sexuality now. I believe it should be just between a man and a woman that really love each other and care about each other. And this is the true belief of what brought that upon me. They were just fucking everything, everywhere. And like I said, I'm going to get back to this part of the story. I got in an altercation with this biker, and he brought an army of bikers. I got in an altercation with one of the main men in this biker gang. And he was a Green Beret, spent 31 years in the military. He sympathized with me, brought in an army of bikers, and there was a huge rumble, and there's still a major gang that took over this territory pretty much. They pretty much just started beating the crap out of them everywhere. There was like blood, there was like bats, it was a huge freaking rumble. A lot of people actually died. These bikers just came in and just started beating the crap out of them everywhere. And yes, and now they're a major gang in New York City. Now, I'm not going to give the exact name now, but I actually brought a major gang to New York City that wasn't there since 9/11 because I got in an altercation and earned the respect of one of the main men that was a veteran and spent 31 years in the military. He taught me a lot of stuff. I'm not going to get into that part either, but yes, I actually had some hands-on training from a Green Beret. I actually know over 200 moves to restrain and disarm somebody that man taught me. But like I said, there was a point where I was like really strong and like really in good shape. But recently I started having health problems, to be honest. My breathing's gotten so bad. My breathing has gotten so bad all day long I hack up phlegm. But yeah, that's the story of what really happened to me. It's not an in-depth detail. It's not the entire story. It's basically a summary of what happened to me and why I am the way I am now. And like I said, afterwards I went back upstate and I never went back to the city because basically it was just so humiliating what happened to me, and I just didn't like having that reputation out there, and I'm not going to get in in-depth detail about that either. But yeah, I came back up here. I worked on a farm. I helped out on a farm for about 15 months. And I started getting in really good shape. I got really shredded. Started getting in really good shape. But towards the end, it started getting to the point where I just couldn't breathe all the time. I just couldn't breathe all the time. And my breathing started getting so bad. And it's been 2 years since then, and my health is just getting really bad. I just always hack up phlegm and cough all day. But that's the story of what happened to me. I pretty much left the city after I caused a major street war that still goes on to this very day with a major biker gang in the city right now. And after that, I left the city, came back up here, and I helped out. I helped out on a farm. I helped out Amish people on a farm for over a year. And then I started having health problems, and now I started a YouTube channel. I was actually a performer for a while in the city. I used to go around and hold up signs and pretty much just spit raps. I already told this story earlier of how I got the talent I developed. I pretty much started going out there and holding up signs and making money spitting raps. Yeah, I pretty much just used to hold up a sign and make money spitting raps. I was a mediocre poet, and I didn't realize I could freestyle until I went out to the city and started holding up signs one day. And I started making a lot of money freestyling out there. And like I said, after a while, I was going back and forth between the mountains and the city for about 3 years. After that chapter of my life got over, I came back upstate. I was traveling back and forth between the mountains and the city, upstate and downstate New York. And when I came back upstate, I ended up getting a position on a farm, and I helped out for about 15 months. Then I started having health problems, and yeah, now my health's really going downhill. It's hard for me to breathe, and I can't believe how much strength I've lost. It's embarrassing. I've went through what I went through in the city. I was a street fighter that could hold my own. Like I said, they were messing with me everywhere, hardcore. And I just kept fighting them off. I got in like 18 different altercations out there, had training from the Green Beret, came back upstate and worked on a farm for 15 months. And then I started having health problems. That's where I'm at now. I started having health problems, and I have difficulty breathing a lot. I've actually been hospitalized on numerous occasions the last couple of months for breathing problems. That's pretty much the story of what happened to me to change who I was entirely compared to what I used to be. Before that experience, I was an entirely different person, and a lot of people recognize it now. I'm like a lot smarter. I got a completely different outlook on life entirely because of this experience. And that's why I have my sexual beliefs now, because of what I saw that horrific night. This is just the untold truth.